Okay, I think we are broadcasting. Hi, everyone. I would love to welcome you to the Lucid Dreaming webinar. We are going to jump right in a moment. But first, I want everyone to get into a frame of mind where you can really concentrate because we are going to cover a lot in a short period of time. So you want to clear away any distractions and be prepared to take notes. I'm going to give you the slides at the end of the webinar, but I still encourage you to jot down the key points. This will encourage your mind to make even stronger connections when it needs to. Okay, so like I said, remove all distractions. You're going to want to give your full attention to this webinar. So put your phone on Do Not Disturb, shut down Skype, let your family know that you are in a Do Not Disturb zone. Turn off instant messengers, close your office door, muzzle the dog, muzzle your kids, whatever you need to do to get yourself in the best possible atmosphere for taking all of this in. Now, with a webinar that has this much information, you will more than likely have questions. You are more than welcome to ask your question in the chat, but I'm going to focus on delivering this presentation and I do not want to get caught up in questions. My suggestion is to go to the website and click the special page for this webinar that I will provide for you, and there will be a question form that you can ask your questions as well as typical questions and answers. Before we get started, I want to tell you that I'm going to pack a ton of information into this webinar. Some people may start to feel a bit overwhelmed trying to remember everything that is presented, but I want to set your mind at ease. At the end of this presentation, I will be giving you a link to a members-only website that you will have access to. You can watch this as many times as you like. I will also have the different subjects broken down so you can fast forward to any point that you may miss or be unclear of. Okay, let's get started. My name is David Fetro, and I am extremely excited to present this webinar and the possibilities that this will open up for you. So let's get this going. So the big question is, what is lucid dreaming? I find that when I ask people if they know what lucid dreaming is, their answer is yes. But when I ask them to explain it to me, I get more or less a confused answer or random thoughts. I have decided to make this webinar in hopes of giving a thorough explanation of what lucid dreaming is and why you definitely want to try this. First, the definition. Lucid dreaming is the ability to consciously observe and or control your dreams. Simply put, you become aware that you are dreaming while you are in the process of dreaming. Scientifically speaking, it is a hybrid of consciousness. Although lucid dreaming has been scientifically verified in the last 30 years, Tibetan dream yoga, which is an original form of lucid dreaming, has been documented for at least 1,000 years. So why would you want to do this? First, psychological growth. I'm sure you have woken up abruptly from a nightmarish dream or wake up the next morning scratching your head remembering a completely bizarre dream and having no idea what it meant. With lucid dreaming, you don't have to run from whatever is chasing you. You can turn and ask it, why are you there? And what is the true meaning? You can manifest Dr. Freud in your dream and have him explain the detailed and exact meaning of your bizarre dreams. When you dream, you are in direct contact with your subconscious mind. Memories that have been locked away for years can be brought out and totally understood. So the next reason is to practice real-life skills. You can practice something in lucid dream and actually improve that skill in real life. Imagine being able to improve in a sport that you play. Practice hitting baseballs from Clayton Kershaw or throwing a football to Julio Jones. Or how about practicing your dance or gymnastic routines? Maybe you are learning a new language or musical instrument. The possibilities are endless. Basically, what you are trying to do is train your mind to perform an action. There is actually a Harvard study that was done to prove this. So, how do you actually do this? Well, I'm glad you asked. The first step is you have to actually do it first in real life. Practice the movements and pay strict attention to the details of how things are done. Before you attempt a lucid dream, I want you to think as intense as you can about all the moves that you have done in real life. You want to focus on the memory of the action. You want to feel your body go through every action. Then simply you just practice this in a lucid dream. You will find your skills starting to increase after a few times of lucid dreaming. It's pretty intense. The next reason is you can do anything you want in a lucid dream. Now, we all have fantasies and desires that we would like to fulfill in our waking hours that just may not be possible. In a lucid dream world, the sky's the limit. Flying is a personal favorite of mine. Fly as low or high as you want. Fast or slow, it doesn't matter. You actually feel the air rushing over your face. Maybe you feel like visiting an exotic beach and digging your feet in the hot sand, hearing the seagulls and smelling the fresh air. That can be done in a lucid dream. Another reason would be fulfilling sexual fantasies. For many, lucid dreaming sex is often the main drive to learn how to lucid dream. Having sex in a lucid dream is just as realistic, if not more realistic, than sex in the waking state. You have the ability to create any type of partner in any situation. Really, the sky is the limit here. So, a few other reasons to lucid dream might be to discover a personal meaning to life, meet and interact with personal heroes, overcome fears and phobias, process grief by reuniting with lost loved ones. Basically, anything that you can think of, you can do in a lucid dream. I've gotten many questions on lucid dreaming. Many are very similar, so I decided to answer a few right now. I'm going to bypass the more basic questions. I'm guessing if you are on this webinar that you've already done quite a bit of homework on this subject. So the first question is, how long does it take to have your first lucid dream? Well, unfortunately, there is no concrete answer to this. Honestly, you could have a lucid dream on your first night trying. But on average, people achieve lucidity anywhere from 3 to 21 days. There are multiple reasons that this would take longer. This is hard to nail down, but if you follow the steps in this webinar and you are very diligent with those steps, you will succeed. So the next question, is lucid dreaming dangerous? The simple answer to that is no. There may be times that you will be scared, but you have the ability to change any situation. You will learn this over time. Next question, is there only one way to lucid dream? No, there are countless ways to achieve a lucid dream. I teach a way that seems to be the easiest way to accomplish. You will find the way that works best for you by trial and error. Here's a question I get all the time. Can I die in a lucid dream? Yes, you can. It is possible to die during a lucid dream, but I don't think it really matters if you are lucid or not. In any case, it's quite rare. Most people who die during their dreams already had known problems such as stopping to breathe while asleep. Can anyone learn this? Anyone can learn lucid dreaming with proper techniques and motivation. On average, with dedication, practice, and good techniques, learning lucid dreaming takes about 4 weeks to practice. And I think the question that I've answered the most is, what is the best time to have a lucid dream? I wish I could tell you the magical time, but I'm afraid there is no exact time. There are several factors that come into play here, like what time you fall asleep, how fast you fall asleep, how long your sleep cycles last, the interruptions that happen during the night. Everyone will have a different time. I can say that there is a sweet spot. This will be between 4 and 6 a.m. This is when your REM periods are the longest and most memorable. I will explain more about what REM periods are later on in the video. So, let's talk sleep. When we sleep in cycles. We transition from wakefulness to a deep sleep and then back out to a light sleep. The typical person will go through 4 to 6 cycles per night. Each cycle lasts an average about 90 minutes. There are 2 phases to each cycle: non-REM sleep and REM sleep. Each non-REM sleep is divided into 4 additional stages. So stage 1, this is where you are nodding off and your eye movements are slowing down. You are still somewhat alert and can be awoken very easily. Stage 2, this stage is a slightly deeper sleep. Your heart rate slows down and your body temperature increases. Stages 3 and 4. When you reach these stages, you are in a very deep sleep. This is where your body starts to repair itself. This is extremely important for your body. REM sleep, or REM sleep. This is where the magic happens. You generally enter REM sleep about 90 minutes after initially falling asleep. Your brain becomes extremely active, your heart rate also increases, and your blood pressure increases. It takes about 90 minutes to go through all 5 stages at night. Each 90-minute segment is called a sleep cycle. Typically, you will do 5 cycles a night. Now, some lucid dreamers want to bypass this non-REM sleep and stay in REM sleep. This is extremely dangerous. Did I say this was extremely dangerous? You may get away with it for a bit, but I will guarantee you that your body will catch up to you and you will start breaking down. What you're looking at now is called a hypnogram. It is a graph that represents the stages of sleep as a function of time. Basically, this is what we just went over, but shown in a graph. I think it will give you a better understanding of how the sleep cycle works. So, on the left, we have the different sleep cycles. On the bottom, we have a typical 8 hours of sleep. So let's say we go to bed around 10 p.m. and we fall asleep around 10:30. We start to slowly fall deeper into non-REM sleep until we hit stage 4. We hang out there for a while, allowing our body to repair itself. Then we start to head back up until we hit our first REM sleep period. That is about 90 minutes after we originally fell asleep. Then we head back down. We go through about 5 cycles each night. Each cycle we hit a REM period, each REM period lasting longer than the one before. The last REM period is the one you should try to catch. This is the longest and deepest REM period of the 5 cycles. This is where we turn a little bit more complex. The neuroscience of sleeping and dreaming. This is a scientific study of the brain as well as the nervous system. This is a complex study, but I promise I will make it as easy as I can for you here. Basically, your brain needs certain vitamins, minerals, and hormones to work ultimately. But before I start this, I want to give you just a couple definitions so you can understand what I'm about to tell you a little bit better. So I have 3 terms to talk about: precursors, blood-brain barrier, or BBB, and neurotransmitters. You're going to hear me use the word precursor quite a bit. And what a precursor is a substance from which another is formed. In other words, a precursor is an ingredient necessary to form a different substance. So without that precursor, the substance that you want to create will never happen. Sort of like a baker trying to make a cake. If he or she does not have the flour, the cake cannot be made. The next thing you hear me use is the blood-brain barrier. Your brain actually has a security system, the so-called guard dog of your brain. This is actually a barrier at the base of your brain. This barrier regulates what is allowed to pass from the blood into the brain. Unfortunately, most of the neurotransmitters themselves do not cross this barrier. So I mentioned neurotransmitters. What are neurotransmitters? Neurotransmitters are the brain chemicals that communicate information throughout our brain and body. They relay signals between nerve cells called neurons. The brain uses neurotransmitters to tell your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, and your stomach to digest. They can also affect mood, sleep, concentration, your weight, and can cause adverse systems when they are out of balance. These neurotransmitters are basically used to turn on and off the brain. They put us to sleep and wake us up. They have a major role in controlling the speed of our mind. There are four primary neurotransmitters that control our waking and sleep cycles. They are serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. So the first one is serotonin. Serotonin plays an important role in regulating sleep. Serotonin affects your sleep by altering your sleep stages. You'll find yourself in deep sleep for the first part of the night, so you can get your proper rest in quickly. Then, in the second part of the night, you'll experience REM rebound. As your body no longer needs deep sleep, you'll just have extended REM sleep. Thanks to longer REM sleep, dreams are recalled more easily. Serotonin levels begin to rise as we fall asleep and continue to rise throughout the non-REM sleep. The rebound of REM is what makes you have more vivid and longer running dreams. The levels start to fall as we move toward REM sleep. More serotonin levels normally denote the burden of REM sleep. Serotonin, however, is not in foods, but there are precursors, there's that word precursor, that we can digest. I will talk about this in a bit. The next one we'll talk about is dopamine. Mostly known for its stimulant and pleasurable effects, dopamine levels tend to make people more aggressive and more aware. Increased dopamine levels during sleep can have a dramatic effect on making dreams more vivid, longer in duration, and sometimes nightmarish. Dopamine plays an important role in producing high-level lucid dreams. Increasing dopamine levels results in a profound effect on the ability to control the dream if you become lucid. Dopamine itself does not cross the blood-brain barrier. There are precursors to dopamine that will pass the blood-brain barrier. They are phenylalanine, say that 10 times fast, and tyrosine. Now, there are several foods that you can eat that contain both of these. I will go over them, but I am not going to list them here. But I do have a link to all the foods that will go along with each recommended product that I suggest. They are spirulina, watercress, kidney beans, sunflower seeds, and egg whites all have high amounts of phenylalanine. High amounts of tyrosine can be found in, once again, spirulina, fresh-caught salmon, and egg whites. Fish contains omega-3 fatty acids, DHA, and EPA, which have been shown to elevate dopamine levels in the brain. All folate-rich vegetables like broccoli, spinach, and cauliflower also have increased dopamine. Red beets contain betaine, which have been suggested to regulate levels of neurotransmitters, which may help to improve mood. Apples have quercetin that may protect the brain from preventing dopamine loss. Chocolate is capable of increasing dopamine due to the fact that it contains phenylalanine, which triggers a release of dopamine. Many chocolates also contain tyramine, similar to tyrosine, which is associated with dopamine increases. Ginkgo biloba works as a cognitive enhancer. In part, it may help boost cognitive functions as a result of increasing levels of dopamine. The polyphenols, as well as L-theanine within green tea, are associated with increasing dopamine. Eating nuts and or seeds, raw almonds, sesame seeds, or pumpkin seeds all have been suggested to help maintain sufficient dopamine levels. Oregano oil means that you're getting carvacrol, a component that interacts with your brain's dopamine system to make you feel good. It may help maintain sufficient levels of dopamine in the brain. One of the richest sources of tyrosine comes from spirulina. The active ingredient in the spice turmeric, called curcumin, is known to cross the blood-brain barrier and increase levels of neurotransmitters, including dopamine. So the next neurotransmitter is called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine plays a major role in the stimulation of muscles, memory, thinking, and learning. It is essential for sleep, dreaming, learning, and memory, although precise nature of the connection is pretty unclear. It plays a major role in the formation, storage, and recall of memories. Acetylcholine is associated with REM sleep. When brain wave frequencies are measured by EEG, alert wakefulness and REM sleep appear almost identical. In both states, acetylcholine levels are high and the brain appears to be actively processing information. Acetylcholine is produced from the essential nutrient choline that you must obtain in your diet. Things like eggs contain large amounts of choline. 1 to 2 eggs are recommended. Sockeye salmon is another good source. Never farm raised. Always eat wild caught salmon. So our last neurotransmitter is called norepinephrine. Now generally, norepinephrine is associated with waking states. Unlike acetylcholine, however, norepinephrine does not seem to initiate REM sleep, but rather supports it and prolongs it. It will improve attention to detail and capacities to focus during lucid dreams. Norepinephrine will make it easier to connect the memories of the waking state to the dream state. Now, there's no foods that create norepinephrine directly, but B vitamins are essential. In addition, vitamin C supports the conversion of dopamine to norepinephrine. Each of the neurotransmitters have primary precursors. We talked about a precursor as an ingredient necessary to form a different substance. There are precursors to serotonin and melatonin, tryptophan to 5-HTP to serotonin to N-acetylserotonin to melatonin. So let's first talk about tryptophan. Tryptophan is an essential amino acid which your body produces 5-HTP, serotonin, and melatonin. Being an essential amino acid means that your body cannot produce this, and it must be obtained from other sources. Now, there's something called tryptophan competition. Now, what this is certain other amino acids, especially the aromatic amino acids and branched chain amino acids, compete with tryptophan for passage through the blood-brain barrier. These amino acids include phenylalanine, tyrosine, lysine, isoleucine, and valine. For this reason, tryptophan is most effective when taken with a snack or beverage containing very little or no protein. So low protein snacks such as applesauce or beverages may facilitate passage of tryptophan through your blood-brain barrier. Tryptophan has an absorption dependency. What this is it's best when accompanied by small doses of niacin, which is vitamin B3, and pyridoxal 5-phosphate, which is vitamin B6. They tend to increase the incidence of REM or dream sleep. In fact, both tryptophan and niacin metabolism are metabolically dependent on vitamin B6. Your liver uses tryptophan in conjunction with enzymes containing vitamin B6 and iron to produce niacin. Now, keep in mind that all B6 is not created equally. Knowledgeable researchers have voiced concern that paradoxine HCI may actually block vitamin B receptors, possibly leading to vitamin B deficiency symptoms, the opposite of what you would expect from a vitamin B6 supplement. Magnesium, that is also extremely important. Magnesium is a mineral found in dark leafy green vegetables, fruits, nuts, legumes, and whole grains. It serves important functions in the body, including muscle and enzyme function and production of proteins. It also aids in the conversion of tryptophan. I typically get my magnesium from spinach, pumpkin seeds, almonds, black beans, avocado, dark chocolate, and bananas. So we're up to 5-HTP. 5-HTP is naturally produced from tryptophan in our body. It is also found in the seeds of an African plant called the Griffonia ciplificolia. Now, I may have just butchered that one. I'm not 100% sure if I pronounced that one right. That one I'm not sure of. But this can be purchased as a supplement. 5-HTP easily crosses the blood-brain barrier, making it highly effective as a supplement. Taking 5-HTP with vitamin B6 is a wonderful idea. This combination helps to convert more 5-HTP into serotonin, further increasing the mood-boosting effects of 5-HTP. The reason that this happens is that the vitamin B6 is what's called a coenzyme. This means that it helps out in the biochemical conversion of 5-HTP to serotonin. This is something that you're going to need to experiment with the 5-HTP and B6. Some take the B6 at night with the 5-HTP, some take it in the morning, some cut it up between your day, but definitely do your own experimentation on this. 5-HTP fools with your brain chemistry, and everyone has a different brew. If you are already taking SSRIs for depression or mood stabilization, 5-HTP could really interfere and possibly lead to a serious chemical imbalance known as serotonin syndrome. Do not do this. So, what is the proper dosage of 5-HTP for lucid dreaming? My suggestion is about 100 milligrams is more than plenty. The dosage can vary depending on your weight and your tolerance level, but for most people, 100 milligrams is plenty 1 hour before going to bed. So on to serotonin. Serotonin is synthesized from tryptophan. It does not cross the blood-brain barrier. Omega-3s and vitamin D affect serotonin. Vitamin D regulates the conversion of this essential amino acid tryptophan into serotonin. So how do you get vitamin D? Well, the sun. The number one source that I recommend is the sun. The amount of sun you get has a significant impact on your ability to have lucid dreams because your body needs vitamin D in order to make serotonin. The best time for your body to produce vitamin D in the sun's UVB rays is noon. When the sun's rays enter the Earth's atmosphere at too much of an angle, the atmosphere blocks the UVB part of the rays, so your skin can't produce vitamin D. Keep in mind, typical car, home, and office windows block most UVB rays. So how much do I need? Well, that depends on you. You want to expose as much of your body as you can. You are looking for your skin to get a light pink. If you are red, you have surpassed your limits and you are on to doing damage. I recommend getting about 10 to 15 minutes daily of direct sunlight without wearing sunscreen. Now, this all depends on your skin color and where you live. I suggest doing your homework on this. The second best way I recommend is getting it through food and vitamins. As far as vitamins go, I suggest vitamin D3. There are multiple types of vitamin D, and D3 has the best absorption rate by the body. There are a few foods that contain vitamin D: cod liver oil, halibut, fresh caught salmon, portobello mushroom that has been exposed to UV light. You also have omega 3s, which are another important part of the puzzle. In my opinion, krill oil is one of the best sources of omega 3s. 60% of your brain is fat. It would stand to reason that your brain loves fat and needs fat for fuel. It's important to get the bulk of your omega 3 fat from animal based sources such as krill oil, because the DHA and EPA are far more important for your health than the plant based ALA. While ALA can convert into DHA and EPA, this conversion is severely impaired when you have elevated insulin levels, which affect over 80% of Americans. This is a huge connection between omega 3 oils and having meaningful, vivid, lucid dreams. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is called N-acetylserotonin, or NAS for short. This is an immediate precursor to melatonin. NAS is able to penetrate the blood-brain barrier unlike serotonin. N-acetylserotonin has a very short lifetime in the body. Now, here's the thing. Very little is known about this. It can be found for sale, but I really can't make any recommendations on this. I would highly encourage you to do some searching on this before you take it. So the big one, melatonin. Melatonin is produced at several sites in the body, including the pineal gland, the retina, and the intestines. Like we talked about with its precursors, melatonin creates extremely vivid dreams. As with most supplements and techniques, the results will vary. Your brain is a very complex environment. Some things will work for some and not for others. Also, you will have things work for you on some days and not others, but one thing you cannot do is get frustrated. You just have to keep testing. So I feel this is a perfect time to talk about the pineal gland that I just mentioned about. This is a gland that is so important to lucid dreaming. Often referred to as the third eye, your pineal gland is part of your endocrine system that is tucked away in the center of your brain. It looks like a tiny pine cone and is about the size of a pea. It regulates our circadian rhythm and releases the hormone melatonin to help us sleep at night. One thing to keep in mind here is the pineal gland is located outside the blood-brain barrier. The pineal gland gets a tremendous amount of blood flow, second only to the kidneys. Basically, we put our queen outside the fortress to defend herself with a stick saying, "You're on your own, we're going to stay inside these walls." Now, this means it's subject to anything getting into your body. The picture on the right is a pineal gland that is partially calcified. Keeping our pineal gland healthy is extremely important and definitely something to understand if we aspire to become regular lucid dreamers. So what does it mean to keep a healthy pineal gland? First, most people have blocked situations. So how does this happen? Well, poor diet and exposure to toxins. Through a poor diet, exposure to toxins in the environment, food we eat, stress, and modern life, the pineal gland gets hardened, then calcifies, and eventually shuts down. Fluoride. This is the number one killer of the pineal gland. The pineal gland is especially sensitive to fluoride in the water and other products. Fluoride and other chemical substances like chlorine are bad for the pineal as they deposit calcium on tissues, such as the pineal gland. Food laden with pesticides, preservatives, and chemicals cause the pineal gland to become sluggish and lose its vitality and power. Now, I don't expect you to take my word for this. I highly suggest that you do quite a bit of research on fluoride. It is also believed that calcium supplements are detrimental to our health, and that it is better to gain calcium through our diet. Calcium-rich foods such as seeds like chia and poppy seeds, almonds, as well as leafy green vegetables like watercress and spinach. Now, I do not suggest milk and milk products like cheese. Although this is beyond the scope of this webinar, it would be in your best interest to look up the milk letter, a very detailed writing on milk. Also Google alkaline foods and an alkaline body. Now, it's important to detox the body in order to decalcify the pineal gland. In today's world, we are assaulted by an enormous range of chemicals in the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat. So at this point, I want to talk about detoxification. Detoxification is a two-part process. Firstly, ensuring that no further calcification takes place, while at the same time reversing the calcification that has already occurred. So some ways to detoxify the pineal gland are by including chlorella, spirulina, and iodine in your diet. Oregano oil is also a wonderful way of detoxifying and encouraging pineal gland activation and clarity. Raw apple cider vinegar and pure cacao have a great effect on the pineal gland as well. Other than oregano oil, I use these ingredients in my morning smoothies. So how about this chlorella and spirulina? They are amazing at removing toxins. Chlorella and spirulina are chlorophyll-dense superfoods that remove metal toxins which build up in organs, increase oxygen levels, and repair damaging tissue. Now, oregano oil is a powerful tool against microbes and other harmful organisms. By supporting immune functions, your body will more successfully remove harmful organisms before it can attack tissues like the pineal gland. This reduces the chance of gland calcification. Raw apple cider vinegar is wonderful as it contains malic acid. This chemical compound gives vinegar its sour taste and also acts as a metal detoxifier. Malic acid is well known for its ability to remove aluminum from the human body. Additional health benefits include dissolving kidney stones, relieving gout, lowering blood pressure, and balancing glucose levels. So, how to take apple cider vinegar? This can be a little tough. The easiest way to take raw apple cider vinegar is to mix a cup of water with a tablespoon or two of the vinegar and raw honey and pineapple juice. You want to work your way up to about 2 tablespoons in an 8-ounce glass of water. I also recommend drinking this with a straw because it can be very acidic to your teeth. There are several brands out there, but I typically recommend Bragg's apple cider vinegar. Cacao is the purest form of chocolate you can consume, which means it is raw and not processed like cocoa powder in chocolate bars. Cacao is thought to be the highest source of antioxidants of all foods and the highest source of magnesium of all foods. Cacao should be utilized as a tool to bring more blood flow and oxygen to the pineal gland. Cacao contains high levels of nitric oxide, capable of increasing the size of blood vessels up to 30%. This comes into play when your brain thrives in an environment of rich oxygen blood flow. Okay, so let's get back to the neurotransmitters. Acetylcholine. This is a chemical that carries messages between brain cells. Most dreams occur during rapid eye movement or REM sleep when acetylcholine levels are high. This is extremely important. Now, there are some precursors to acetylcholine. Pantothenic acid, also called vitamin B5, is a water-soluble vitamin. We require pantothenic acid to synthesize coenzyme A, or CoA, as well as to synthesize the metabolic proteins carbohydrates, and fats. I know that's kind of a lot to say, but there usually is not a problem getting your B5. Foods like shiitake mushrooms, sunflower seeds, salmon, avocados, and yeah, coffee is very high in B5. The coenzyme A, or CoA, is a helper molecule in a non protein chemical substance needed for the activation of some enzymes, the proteins that catalyze or activate important chemical reactions within the body. The acetyl part increases the availability of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. Now, very little is to say about acetyl that is not just super complex, and that is way past this course. Now, the choline part of acetylcholine improves memory and cognitive function. This promotes a healthy brain activity and improves focus, which allows better memory of dreams. Now, here are some foods that contain choline. We have fish, egg yolks, Brussels sprouts, dairy products, peanuts, and broccoli. So, when and how much to take? This is very debatable. I would start off with the RDA, the recommended daily allowance, and see how your body reacts to that. It's going to be different depending on your weight and different other factors that come into play here. So, when to take this? Some will eat as much as they can in the evenings. Some wake up in the middle of the night. I prefer eating a combination throughout the day. So bear with me, guys. We have one more: dopamine and norepinephrine. So the combination here is phenylalanine, which converts to tyrosine, to L-DOPA, to dopamine, to norepinephrine. Phenylalanine is an essential amino acid, meaning the body needs this ingredient and is unable to produce it naturally. Phenylalanine must be obtained either through supplementation or food sources. Now, there's quite a few here, so let's go over the list of them. We have fresh caught salmon, eggs, almonds, avocados, bananas, brewer's yeast, cheese, corn, cottage cheese, lima beans, nuts, peanuts, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, whole grains, soybeans, pecans, chickpeas, and lentils. And it goes on and on, believe me. There's a lot more that I can put here. Phenylalanine is a precursor to tyrosine. Tyrosine can be manufactured within the body. It is considered to be a non-essential amino acid. It is an essential component, however, for the production of several important brain chemicals, including epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. Now, keep in mind, if you are under stress, your body may not be able to make enough tyrosine. The best food sources are spirulina, fresh caught salmon, eggs, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, almonds, and dark chocolate. I don't know if you're noticing here, but I say the same type of foods for a lot of these. So even though it sounds like there's quite a few that I'm talking about, a lot of them are the same foods. Tyrosine is first converted into L-DOPA by the enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase. L-DOPA is then used to manufacture dopamine with the help of the cofactor vitamin B6. Now, L-DOPA. I do not suggest messing with this. There is very little known about L-DOPA. Therefore, I'm going to bypass this. If you are curious, I suggest looking up the Mucina purens beans. But once again, I urge you to use caution on this. Now, dopamine. Dopamine is a major neurotransmitter that's a key factor in motivation, productivity, and focus. Controls the production of sleep hormone melatonin. Meditation increases dopamine by improving focus and concentration. Dopamine consumed in foods does not cross the blood-brain barrier and so has no impact on the brain. If you want to elevate your dopamine levels with food, you need to use a workaround. The amino acids tyrosine and phenylalanine are converted into dopamine. For this to happen, cofactors from vitamin C, vitamin B6, and folic acid, as well as the minerals zinc, copper, magnesium, iron, and manganese, must be present. And the last one we'll talk about here is norepinephrine. Now, norepinephrine is normally associated with waking states. However, some experts believe it is effective for enhancing dreaming. It may act as a trigger for natural lucid dreaming, especially if used synergistically with acetylcholine. It will improve attention to detail and allow you to focus in on a lucid dream. There are no foods or supplements that produce norepinephrine. But if you take the foods and the supplements that I spoke before, your body's going to do the rest. So, on to what everybody's waiting for, lucid dream techniques. But before I go into the steps, I want to impress upon you that this process takes time, patience, and commitment. The more you put into this, the easier it will be. You need to train your mind how to recognize that you are in a dream. So the first technique I'm going to talk about is the WILD technique. And the WILD technique stands for wake-induced lucid dreaming. Now the first step in the WILD technique is the dream journal. I suggest buying a journal. You could use a notebook, but the key is to train your mind and buy one specifically made for journaling. So why keep a dream journal? This will allow you to improve your awareness of the dream state, making you become aware that you are, in fact, in a dream. Keeping a dream journal is the best way to train your mind that dreams are important. So how do you keep this dream journal? You will want to keep your dream journal within arm's length for easy access. You want the journal to be the last thing you see before you go to bed and the first thing you see in the morning. Also, a good idea is to have a book light or a pen with a light attached if you want to record a dream in the middle of the night upon awakening. You really don't want to turn on a bright light because that's basically giving the brain a signal that, hey, it's the morning, it's time to wake up. You want to be able to go back to sleep as easy as possible. And don't trust that you'll remember it in the morning. You will forget most, if not all of it, in the beginning. Write down the date before you go to bed. When you first wake up, don't move or open your eyes. If you do, don't sweat it. You can close your eyes and continue. Lie completely still and ask yourself, what was I just going through in my mind? Once you remember something, work backwards and ask yourself, what happened before that? And before that? And before that? Write down everything you can remember. Try to be as thorough as you can. Write everything in the present tense like it is actually happening to you now. This helps with remembering dreams by putting you in the moment. Try to correlate any emotions that you had with what was going on at that time. Then you want to give the dream a title. Giving each dream a title forces you to sum up the dream in a theme. Take some time to interpret your dreams. Then you want to bring your dream journal with you that day. Take it out around noon. First, try to remember your dream or dreams. Then read it from your journal. Oftentimes, you will leave something out and add something new. Then, if you can't recall any dreams, just write down something like, I didn't dream last night. But still, take your dream journal because something may jar your memory during the day. Always have your dream journal with you. Make a habit of recording your dreams every night. You're going to start to see some recurring themes, emotions, people, etc. You want to do this until you can remember your dreams almost every night. Okay, step two, perform reality checks. These are checks done throughout the day while you are awake. In order to lucid dream, you'll need to be able to tell the difference between reality and a dream. Reality checks are a powerful way to do this. By integrating reality checks into your waking life, you will soon do them in your dreams. Basically, these are checks you do throughout the day while you are awake. Hopefully, they will make their way into your dreams to alert you that you're dreaming. When you do these checks, ask yourself out loud, am I dreaming? When do I perform these checks? Well, I suggest that you do them at least every hour. I have an app on my phone called Awoken that goes off every hour to remind me to do the check. This is an Android application. iPhone has an app called Lucid Reality Check. Set your phone or computer background to a lucid dreaming picture or text that says, "Are you dreaming?" Another idea would be to write sticky notes for yourself and put them at different places. When you do these checks, do them wholeheartedly. Put emotion into your checks. So, what I'm trying to say here is you just can't go around saying, am I dreaming? Because it's not going to sit in your subconscious where when you sit there and you do these checks and you say, am I dreaming, and put emotion and feeling into it, it makes a world of difference. So I'm going to list here a couple of the checks that I think are the best. So the first one is called the finger palm push. This is pretty simple. Take your pointer finger and try to push it into your palm. And of course, if you're dreaming, it's going to go right through. The next one is the breathing technique. Hold your nose and mouth shut and try to breathe. And of course, if you're sleeping, you will be able to breathe. The next one is the ground jump. Jump up. If you float back down, you're dreaming. Before you jump, notice if your feet are floating off the ground. Another one would be reading some text. In a dream, text will appear to shift around on the page. It may even be blurry. Also, try to read it twice. The text may say something totally different the second time you read it. And the last one I suggest is look down at your hands. Your hands will look different. For example, you may have 20 fingers, or your fingers may be 3 times as long. Keep in mind, do a combination of these. Some will pass in a dream, but 9 times out of 10, one of those will fail. On to step 3, preparing your room for lucid dreaming. The first thing we'll talk about is lighting. The key is to make your room as dark as possible. This is for melatonin production. Light that enters the eyes tells the body to stop making melatonin and wake up. This means no TV, night lights, hallway lights, even small lights such as a smoke alarm or cell phone light can have an impact. I also suggest room darkening shades for your windows. These can be a little bit expensive. You could always use a dark blanket over the window or a good sleeping mask. The next thing that we're going to talk about is noise. Controlling noise can be a little more challenging. If you have people that live with you, make sure they know not to disturb you. Make sure to put your phone on Do Not Disturb. And if you use the phone alarm, set that to disregard the Do Not Disturb. If you have to, you can use a good quality sound machine or noise canceling headphones. Binaural beats can be used with headphones, or isochronic tones that do not need headphones can also be used. You can find these on YouTube. Earplugs also work for some. Okay, so the next thing would be is to set the mood in the room. And we're going to do this by using an essential oil diffuser with essential oils. Aromas can have a powerful effect on your dreams and sleeping habits. Smells are processed in the brain's limbic system, an area closely associated with memory and emotion. And I'm going to say here, do not use cheap oils that are made to smell like the real thing. Also, there are companies out there that charge an arm and a leg for their products. These are multi level marketing companies. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm going to suggest that you stay away from those. There are essential oils to use when you are falling asleep, and then there are ones to use when you have to wake up in the middle of the night when you're using a method called the wake back to bed method, which we will talk about in a bit. Oils that help promote sleep are lavender, chamomile, geranium, lang lang, jasmine, lemon balm, rose, and neroli. These are to use when you go to sleep. Oils that induce lucid dreaming and improve dream recall are sandalwood, cedarwood, patchouli, clove, mugwort, clary sage, anise, and rosemary. These are used when you wake yourself up early in the morning. You can also use what's called an aroma dream sachet or dream pillow. This is a mesh bag filled with dried aromatherapy herbs and flowers. You can put this under your pillow or beside your pillow. I suggest working with combinations that work for you. There really is not one combination that works for everyone. You can also use something called feng shui to set up your bedroom for good energy. This is a Chinese system of laws considered to govern spatial arrangement and orientation in relation to the flow of energy, or qi. This study can be quite complex, but there are simple things that you can do to your bedroom. The most simple thing is to clean your room. Make sure there are no clothes on the floor or dust bunnies in the corner or under the bed. Make sure you are using all natural cleaners. Remove all electronic devices from the room. Do not have any fountains, water features, or plants in your bedroom. Think of your bedroom as an oasis. Your bedroom should be your sanctuary. It should be an escape from the stress of everyday life. So next I'm going to go over the best lucid dream techniques that are for beginners. There are 4 that I recommend. The first one is the Wake Back to Bed method, the WBTB. The next one is the Wake Induced Lucid Dream, or the WILD. The next one is the Mnemonic Induced Lucid Dream, or MILD. And the last one is the Dream Induced Lucid Dream, or the DILD. So let's talk about the Wake Back to Bed method, or the WBTB. This technique involves waking up a few hours before you would normally wake up and then letting yourself go back to sleep. Your goal here is to catch yourself in REM sleep, where most of your dreams occur. This will be most of the time in the early morning. So here's the steps. First, go to bed like normal. Then you want to wake up about 2 hours before your normal waking time. You'll set your alarm to gently wake yourself up. So let's say you go to bed around 10 p.m. and normally you get up around 6 a.m. You would want to set your alarm for 4 a.m. You want to stay up about 20 to 60 minutes. You'll have to test this. Everyone is different. Some can just go right back to bed. I suggest getting out of bed. You want to keep your mind occupied with anything you do with lucid dreaming. I do not suggest reading from a computer or phone. You want to stay in a very dim lighted room. A book is a much better way to go. Then you're going to go back to bed and totally relax. Concentrate on every muscle in your body, one by one, relaxing each part. Start up at the top of your head and work your way down. paying specific attention to your jaw area because that's usually where a lot of stress is kept. Your goal is to keep your mind alert. You can practice meditation, listen to binaural beats, isochronic beats, or repeat mantras in your head. Then just fall back asleep. Hopefully, you will go right into a lucid dream. The next technique that I'm going to talk about is the wake-induced lucid dream, or WILD. This technique involves shutting your body down while the mind stays awake. So the basic idea here is to stay focused and concentrate on staying awake while letting your body go into deep sleep paralysis. Remember, we spoke about sleep paralysis earlier in the webinar if you want to go back and familiarize yourself with what that is. Now, this technique can be done at any time of the day, but it is much easier if you do this after 4 to 6 hours of sleep. This is because you have to relax your body completely, and it's much easier after you have had your non-REM sleep. This can be where you use your dream enhancement supplements, if you choose to do so. We will talk about this in a bit. There is no need to stay up like the wake back to bed methods. So let's go over the steps for this. First, you want to lay on your back in the corpse pose. This is your legs slightly spread and your arms slightly spread as well, with your palms facing up. If you want to face your palms down, that can be good as well. Other postures will work as well, but I find that this one works the best for myself. Now, empty your mind and focus on the blackness of your closed eyelids. Do not focus on your thoughts. Just allow them to be and let them float away. Focus on your breathing. Breathe slow and deep. You don't have to worry specifically how you breathe, just so you take slow, deep breaths. Each exhale, you will feel your body sinking lower into the bed. Sooner or later, you will hit the state called the hypnagogic state. You will start to see swirling colors and patterns in the back of your eyes. As you go deeper, you may start to hear sounds or even voices. Your body may seem like it's floating. This is normal. Just allow it to be. Keep holding on to your conscious awareness and don't fall asleep. You may also experience sleep paralysis, but do not let that alarm you. This is normal. It is at this point where you should slide straight into a lucid dream. Everyone is different at this point, but most likely you will just enter a scene. This may be something that happened during the day or something that you put in your head to dream about. As you can see, these techniques are actually fairly simple. So let's get on to the next technique, the mnemonic-induced lucid dream, or MILD. This technique involves repeating a mantra or affirmation to yourself multiple times before you go to sleep. The purpose of this is to hopefully still have it in your mind when you fall asleep. A few examples of this: I will lucid dream tonight, or having a lucid dream is very easy. Or how about saying something like, tonight I will realize that I am dreaming. If you have problems remembering your dream, you can say something like, I will remember my dream when I awake. If you are having a problem getting too excited when you realize you are dreaming and wake yourself up, you can say, I will stay calm when I become lucid in my dream. It is best if you make your own phrases up. These affirmations are better when you use them in combination with reality checks and your dream journal. So here are the steps. Use your dream journal to remember your dreams upon awakening. Do your reality checks during the day. When you are lying in bed, start to go through your affirmations in your mind. You're basically programming your memory. You want to make sure that you put feelings into your words. Continue to use affirmations until you are just about ready to fall asleep. This may take anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes. Now start to visualize your dream. Only do this when you are completely relaxed. You will more than likely fall asleep. That's okay. Your goal is that your body falls asleep, but your mind continues to think about your visualization. Then, at one point in the night, you will become lucid. And the last technique I want to talk about is called the dream-induced lucid dream, or the DILD. This is where you become spontaneously lucid in a normal dream. It is prompted by unusual things that happened in the dream. You will consciously recognize that something is out of place. For example, you're walking down the main street in your hometown and you notice that there is a theme park where a church used to be. When you recognize something is out of place, immediately start doing checks. This is not really a technique, but a method to become lucid. These can be accomplished by keeping your dream journal, using reality checks, meditation, and dream incubation. Now that we've gone over the techniques, I want to touch a little bit on lucid dreaming supplements. But before I do this, I'm going to say that I highly recommend that you do not use supplements until you have achieved multiple lucid dreams. The reason for this is that most will feel that they cannot achieve a lucid dream unless they are on supplements. I also want to say that you should place your health and personal well-being first. So, what you want to do if you do supplements, you want to start off with very small doses and increase to the point of effectiveness. Supplements are used to achieve high-level lucid dreaming. And when I say high level, I am talking about 4 words: intensity, clarity, control, and length. So let's talk about intensity. Think of this as colors and pixels. Using supplements will allow you to perceive things that are happening around you with extreme intensity. So clarity. I compare this to a high and low definition TV. If you understand how TVs work, you will know that a lower definition TV will be about 720 dpi, that is dots per inch. A high clarity definition TV will be 180 dpi. Supplements will make your lucid dreams seem extremely clear. This allows your senses like smell, touch, and taste to be stronger. So, control. Having a low-level lucid dream may not allow you to have control over what you want to do or what other people do. You may not be able to control the scenery of your dream. You will find when you take supplements that you have a very high level of control over everything that is in your dream. And the last one we want to talk about is length. Certain supplements will allow your REM period to last much, much longer. Using these supplements work best with the WILD method. Most beginning lucid dreamers will not have high-level lucid dreams because they do not have a complete understanding of the craft. By following this course, it will allow you to have very high levels of lucidity. Following the natural supplement section we spoke about in the first part of this webinar will help you when you take these supplements. I will first tell you that I am not an expert on these types of supplements and use them very little. I certainly believe in the natural approach to lucid dreaming, which is much better for your health and well-being. I have done quite a bit of research on supplements and have done a few combinations which I would like to talk about today. The first one we'll talk about is Calea zacatichichi. This is a class 1 herb that is taken to have extremely vivid dreams. It creates vivid dreams even in those who never remember their dreams. I suggest taking this after about 4 to 6 hours of sleep. There are a few ways to take this. It can be made into a tea or tincture. I do not recommend this. The taste is awful. The best way is to pack the dry mixture into 2 empty caplets and swallow with water. Do your meditation or mantras, relax, and just fall asleep. Getting quality herbs is challenging. I recommend purchasing them from a company called Bouncing Bear Botanicals. Once again, I will have the links to all the things that I recommend and companies on my website for you to use. So the next one we're going to talk about is a favorite of mine. It's galantamine and GPC choline. This is the powerhouse of lucid dreaming supplementation combination. These are class 2 supplements. The role of GPC choline helps to maximize acetylcholine levels in the brain. There are several different types of choline available, such as choline bitrate, choline CDP, and alpha GPC. GPC choline has a much better absorption rate and one that I recommend. Once in the brain, choline is quickly converted to acetylcholine. Galantamine is classified as an ACHE inhibitor. What this means is it stops the acetylcholine from breaking down, therefore increasing the levels in your brain. So when to take this and how much? I suggest taking this after about 4 to 5 hours of sleep. I suggest around 600 milligrams of choline and 8 milligrams of galantamine. Here's a few things that you're going to want to know about galantamine. Galantamine will stay in your system for about 48 hours, so I do not suggest taking this every day. You do not want your body to build up a tolerance. As far as the side effects, there are very few. This could be possibility of nausea, upset stomach, dizziness, and headache. And what you have to understand was these were experienced with dosages of 24 milligrams or higher. I personally have never had any side effects. So this brings us to the end of the webinar. As we say, that's all, folks. I want to thank everyone for taking this webinar. I hope this webinar has given you tons of information and you are excited to start or continue your travels in the lucid dreaming world. And remember, attending this webinar entitles you to full access to our Lucid Dreaming members only access page, where you can continue to gain additional information on the how-tos of lucid dreaming. This members area also has products that I personally recommend, as well as a morning till night step-by-step guide how to lucid dream. This area grows daily, so I highly suggest that you visit it often. Once again, thank you, my friends. I wish you the best at accomplishing whatever your goals are with lucid dreaming.